Okay, today is September 24th, 2019, and let's just jump right in here and take a look at this western U.S. water vapor loop. This is the current water vapor loop for the western U.S., of course, and we see a surface to upper level low pressure system right here spinning just right over the California and Arizona border, right there on the Mexican border as well. Now, interestingly, let's go ahead and zoom in and take a closer look at this right here. And we can see a right angle imprint briefly form. We have some straight edges right there. We can stop the loop and take a quick run through it. We can see a straight edge there. We see a lip right here. This is the vortex, which is spinning counterclockwise. We've got another straight edge starting to form over here. Let's go ahead and go through that. And we've had wind in Southern California because we've got high pressure right on top of this vortex. There's no condensation in this vortex. And we can see the blockade of high pressure right on top of this vortex. And that's preventing all of this condensation from getting into this vortex, which is the lowest pressure area of that weather system. We should be seeing condensation all the way around this weather system. So they're hitting this thing with power periodically, and that's why the right angle or the rectangular imprint is not well defined. The people that are controlling our weather that are doing this are well aware that people are now seeing evidence of what's going on here in these videos. So let's just go ahead and run this loop. We can see that happening. And of course, we should be having rain from this low pressure system all over the entire area here in Arizona, California, and down in Mexico. But if you look at the Doppler map, look at this. This is just astonishing. Let's go ahead and blow it up. We can see there's just really nothing going on here. We've got a huge upper level, surface to upper level low, closed low pressure system. That is the surface map. It has a closed low. The 500 millibar has a closed low right here. And the upper level, the 300 millibar map has a closed upper level low right here. Yet there's zero precipitation. Why is that? Well, because there is satellite transmitter manipulation going on. Right here, we can see that happening. Let's take a look here in the western U.S. Water vapor loop right here, the western U.S. loop. You can see what's happening. This low is being squashed with high pressure. So we've got a satellite transmitter manipulating this weather system right here. We have descending air right over here, just adjacent to this low, and that's causing a lot of wind to move through to the southwest, and that's where we're seeing a lot of that wind in different areas. It's not windy everywhere, but there's periodic gusts of wind. As we can see, there is periodic power being applied to this weather system, like we were just showing over here. We see straight edges firm up at different points during this loop. And this vortex is completely blockaded. Look at this. There's a huge dark area. None of this moisture can flow into that vortex. It's completely blockaded. Now notice also what's happening right here. This is where that right angle of that straight edge is. And that is preventing, we see there's clockwise rotation here, where that descending air from this satellite transmitter, it's creating descending air, clockwise descending air, and it is actually peeling away the moisture that should be flowing into that low pressure system. If we look at it here once again in the western U.S. water vapor, or rather the infrared loop, we can see that what's happening right there where the pen tip is, this moisture is not wrapping into that vortex. It is just spinning off. A lot of it is evaporating and spinning off back to the east. So this is rather astonishing. Of course, the fake news mainstream media, the enemy of the people, are not showing us these satellite maps, and there's a reason for that. They're also peddling the carbon dioxide greenhouse gas theories, which are completely baseless. And of course, that's why these maps are not shown on television, because people would wonder, well, what's going on here? This is a low pressure system. There's no moisture flowing into it. Higher pressure always flows to lower pressure, but that's not what we're seeing here. So we're seeing man-made weather manipulation right there. Let's go ahead and look at the big map. Let's see if we can get that right here. Here's the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. We see a right angle on a developing low pressure system right out about halfway, more or less halfway out between the Hawaiian Islands and the West Coast. You see that right angle imprint right there. And we can see what's happening right there with that imprint right about here. Let's go back to the water vapor loop. Right where that imprint is, we see that the water vapor is peeling away from this developing low. We have a vortex of low pressure right over here, which also has a big step, a rectangular pattern in it, right about there. We can see right there, all this water vapor is being blockaded from wrapping into that low. So once again, the laws of physics are being defied, and this is why we don't see these satellite maps on the mainstream television. They're showing those cartoon animation maps. All right, now let's take a look at another set of maps here. This is from yesterday. This is the map from the 23rd. All right, this is the infrared, the upper level water vapor map, band number 8. All right, now Jerry, Tropical Storm Jerry is over here, and I'm going to move the camera over and we'll take a look at what's going on here. This is pretty amazing. We see that the Jerry is being bulldozed out to sea, out into the Atlantic. Watch this. You have a rectangular imprint right here. Right there, and we see what happens when the power comes off. They take the power off of this weather system and it rebuilds. That's what we're seeing here. And notice what's happening. The entire storm is being pushed away. Now, when we look at this in the infrared loop, which is right here, there's that imprint right there. And notice, let's let it loop through. Okay, right here, they hit it, and then the rectangle firms up, and then it's pushed away. We see a lot of movement immediately when this rectangle begins to form. This is the satellite transmitter, microwave transmitter, which is evaporating and basically pushing this storm out to sea. That's pretty amazing stuff. Look at the evaporation pattern right there. This is the center of the low right there where the deepest water vapor is. Here's the water vapor map once again. They pull the power off of it briefly and it rebuilds. So these people are very careful about exposing their nefarious activity. Now, let's take a look at the National Hurricane Center map for today. This is the Pacific map. These two disturbances have a 10% chance of hurricane formation in 2 days. Kiko out here, which is just within the last hour and a half, is now a post-tropical storm. Right here, 35 mile per hour winds, 1,007 millibar. Now, if we take a look next at the Atlantic map, we see that this is Jerry. We've got Karen and Lorenzo. These are all scheduled to move back out, hook up to the north and out into the North Atlantic. But we have this thing down here sitting here. This is something we want to keep an eye on. This is what happened here last week. We had, I think it was Imelda that went into Texas and dumped about 3 to 4 feet of rain. amazing tropical storm. So we're going to have to keep an eye on this thing and see what happens. These storms, as I say, are going to hook back out into the Atlantic. All right, now this is today's map. This is the GOES 16, the long wave infrared band number 14. And we can see what's happening here. This weather system is not generating any precipitation in California or Arizona. It's a huge weather system. We should be seeing a lot of rain in this area. So there's probably a lot of spraying going on as well on the periphery of this system. And here's the water vapor map. This is basically a dry surface to upper level closed low. And we can see there's no condensation getting anywhere near that low pressure, the lowest pressure of vortex right there. Nobody talks about this on TV, the fake news. Nobody talks about the chemtrail aerosols being sprayed right when the moisture fields move in. We hear none of that. It's just getting to the point where the drastic action is going to have to be taken against these major media companies, because we're getting to a point where we're going to have a constitutional crisis. The rule of law is breaking down. We've got a vice president, a candidate running for president who is guilty, who certainly looks like he's guilty of some things, and they're turning this whole thing around. I don't like to bring politics into things, but we're seeing some very underhanded and very bad things going on in the political arena. Okay, so let's go on and take a look at some of these other things. Now, going back a week or so, this is a shot of Dorian, and we notice that the WSR-88D Doppler microwave Dopplers are not doing anything to chop this precipitation pattern as it moves in. So now I'm going to show some other examples here. This was back on September the 3rd, this shot here. Now, here's a screenshot from January of this year showing, this is for the new subscribers that may not understand what these ground-based WSR-88D microwave transmitter / Doppler radars are all about. They're located at the ground level. This is the desert floor of California, just north of Los Angeles, about 60, 70 miles north of LA. This is all flat desert floor area. Here's Edwards Air Force Base. That Doppler radar / high power microwave transmitter is right about here. We can see we can triangulate all these edges to that one point. So we can see that the precipitation is being evaporated when they decide to evaporate it. Now, of course, when Dorian moved in, somehow or another, the decision was made to not disrupt the precipitation pattern and protect the residents of Florida. That is something that is not being talked about on the mainstream fake news. This is a WSR-88D right here. A 6-story tower and a radome at the top with a parabolic dish housing the microwave transmitter antenna. Down here on the ground they have the transmitter equipment, and that's how it works. And now these generate high power for very short periods of time, and that's what causes these pie-shaped cutouts. We have call signs for each of these microwave transmitters, these WSR-88Ds, because they pump out a lot of power in watts. Okay, so when you run a radio station, pardon me, you have to have a call sign, and the reason for that is there's FCC rules for that. Now, I don't have enough time, but this is the YAL-1. This is an airborne laser. We're going to talk about this in the next video, but this is an airborne laser built by the Air Force. This was a classified project. But we're going to show this next time. This has a 200-mile range. This is a very high-power laser. So we're running out of time, but we'll do another video here real soon, and we'll talk about this thing. Okay, that's it.